You know, you never really notice how flawless a mega church presentation or like a massive corporate event is until the screen suddenly just goes black.
Right, it's total panic when that happens.
Exactly. So today we're doing a deep dive into the hidden tech that prevents those disasters. We're looking at some really fascinating source material on this 1-pound piece of hardware called the Intelix FLX-HI4A input card.
It's quite the piece of tech.
It really is. It's essentially this unsung hero, like a high-tech traffic cop directing video and sound behind the wall so you never actually see a glitch.
Yeah, and I mean, in a world of constant information overload, we tend to focus entirely on the content itself, right?
Absolutely.
But understanding how that data physically moves and translates across a massive building network is crucial. It really helps you appreciate the media you consume every day.
Right. So, okay, let's unpack this a bit. Before we look at how this card manages network traffic, we need to look at what kind of traffic it handles.
The nuts and bolts of it.
Exactly. It takes in up to 4 high-resolution digital video feeds. So that's up to 1080p 3D and 48-bit deep color.
Yeah, pretty standard high-end specs.
But what really caught my eye is that it also features this analog audio embedding. It has these 4 3-pole Euroblock connectors where you literally screw bare analog wires right into the card.
Right, it's merging the old and the new.
Yeah. Why on earth are we mixing raw, old-school analog sound with pristine digital video?
Well, what's fascinating here is the reality of a live production environment. Just imagine a guest speaker walks out on a stage.
Okay.
Their visual presentation is completely digital, right? It's coming through an HDMI cable from a laptop. But they are speaking into a traditional analog microphone. This card physically marries that live analog mic feed directly into the digital video stream.
Wait, so if that speaker suddenly switches to a handheld mic mid-presentation, does that mean the AV team can just selectively strip the original HDMI audio out and replace it with a completely different analog source?
Yeah, they can do it on the fly just by using the mentioned RS-232 or IP commands.
Oh, wow, really? Just instantly?
Instantly over the network. You aren't permanently hardwiring anything here. The team has the power to dynamically route analog sound into a digital feed right in the middle of a live production.
Without missing a single beat. That is wild.
It's a lifesaver for live events.
So, okay, you've perfectly synced this analog mic to the digital video. But what happens when you hit play and the screen just goes black anyway? Because the digital devices refuse to communicate.
Ah, the classic AV nightmare.
Right. And that brings us to the biggest hurdle. This card, which is like roughly $109, slots directly into larger matrix systems like the FLX-88 or the FLX-3232.
Right.
But here's where it gets really interesting. It features advanced HDCP handling, meaning it lets you actively turn high bandwidth digital content protection completely off.
Yep, you can just toggle it on or off as needed.
But wait a minute, isn't turning off digital rights management a giant technical loophole? I mean, why would a school or conference center need to bypass piracy protections just to show a regular slideshow?
I know it sounds shady, but this raises an important point about how these venues actually operate. It's almost never about piracy.
So what is it about then?
Well, if we look at the bigger picture, HDCP is essentially just a strict digital handshake. It's 2 devices asking each other, hey, are you allowed to play this?
Right, checking credentials.
Exactly. But older legacy computers, or even just finicky commercial sources, they often fail that handshake even when they completely own the rights to the presentation.
I see. It's like a bouncer at a club checking IDs. If an older laptop shows up with a slightly blurry ID, the bouncer just denies entry.
Yeah, and the screen just drops the presentation entirely.
Yeah.
So toggling HDCP off on this card is basically like slipping that bouncer a 20 to just look the other way.
Just so the show can go on.
Exactly. By giving users the ability to disable that check, it prevents an entire massive AV matrix from failing during a live event, all over a simple false alarm handshake error.
That makes total sense. So to wrap this up, what does this all mean for you, the listener? Basically, these modular, highly customizable cards serve as the critical, real-time translators for the modern AV world.
Right, they bridge that gap between analog and digital signals.
And they negotiate the strict rules of digital rights just to ensure the smooth delivery of both the audio and visual information to you.
They really are the invisible diplomats working furiously behind the walls to keep the data flowing.
Which leaves you with something to ponder. The next time you see a flawless, multi-screen presentation with perfectly synced audio in a massive venue, ask yourself how many tiny invisible input cards are working behind the walls to make that magic happen.
Quite a few, I'd bet.
Definitely. And as we inevitably move toward wireless casting and cloud-based systems, will those over-the-air handshakes become so complex that we actually wish we still had a physical card to just plug in and override? Something to think about.